Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Welcome to the Windward Buddhist Temple Family Service. My name is Annette Tashiro, and I'll be your MC for today. I'd like to welcome back the Umitanis and thank Reverend Bishop Umitani to officiate our service today. We'll begin with the ringing of the temple bell, or the Kansho, that signifies the beginning of a temple service. It is a deep and sacred ritual steeped in ancient tradition. It is the calling of the people to come together to listen to the Dharma or teachings. The temple bell represents the gratitude and deep appreciation of the members, friends, and guests of the Windward Buddhist Temple. Please sit quietly in your seat. If you're able, please rise for the meditation, followed by the chanting of the Vandana Ti-Sarana by the congregation in Pali and English, found in the red Jodo Shinshu service book on page 7. Please be seated. Today's sutra is Praises of the Buddha, found in the Jodo Shinshu Service book on page 112.
Your face shines in great splendor, boundless wondrous dignity, such the greatness of your light, beyond all comparison, brightness of the sun and moon, and the shining managers, when compared to your brilliance, seem to us like practicing Tathagata's countenance, transcends all comparison. The great voice of awakening resounds through the 10 quarters. Your precepts learning effort, meditation, wisdom, virtues beyond all compare, ultimate, supreme, and rare. Your deep meditation has fathomed all the Dharma sea to the limits and the depth of all things the Buddhas teach. Ignorance, anger, and greed, the word ordered one has not. Lion among men, measureless your great virtue, Vasa your great justice, wisdom deep and so sublime, your radiant luminous light shakes all the world's foundations. When I become a Buddha, equal to the Dharma King, I will transcend birth and death, liberating all beings by giving discipline mind, precepts, patience, and effort, meditation, and wisdom shall be supreme, unsurpassed. I will attain Buddhahood, everywhere fulfill my vow, bring into all those in fear great peace and tranquility. us. Beyond measure, beyond count, and great sages numberless, like the grains of Ganges sand, I will honor each of them equally, excepting none, even more importantly, I will seek the supreme way, even though the words are countless as Ganges sands, even though all lands and realms are boundless without measure, yet my light shall reach them all and illumine every place. Such shall be my perfect work, such my power infinite. When I attain Buddhahood, my land will be first and best, place of practice transcendent, its people sublime and rare, land equal to nirvana, beyond all comparison, with pity for everyone. I will carry all across, all who come from 10 quarters to be born into my land, to attain pure joyful mind, peace and great tranquility. Be my witness, Buddha, please confirm my sincerity. Now that I have made my vows, I will strive to fulfill them. Buddhas of the 10 quarters, with your wisdom hindered, may all of these honored ones know my deepest intention, even though my body must bear great pain and suffering. I will persevere and strive patiently without regret.
If you're able, please rise for the recitation, Our Pledge, which will be on the screen. Then remain standing for the Gatha, Lord Buddha Speaks to Me, found in the Purple Praises of the Buddha book on page 137. Reaching out to others, I will share a smile and gentle words, just as the Buddha who always calls out with aloha. Breaking away from my greed, anger, and ignorance, I will try to live in peace and harmony, just like the Buddha who shares tranquility and kindness with all. Moving forward from self-centeredness, I will share a life of joy and sorrow with others, just like the Buddha whose caring heart always embraces us, realizing that I live because of others. I will strive to live life to the fullest with an attitude of gratitude, just like the Buddha who promises to embrace us all. Namo Amida. Namo Amida. Page 137, Lord Buddha Speaks to Me.
When
I found truth light. Lord Buddha speaks to me in this dark of night, when closing eyes no more see earth's light. My child, he whispers softly, brighter light is shining. Hold fast the truth I gave thee, and thou shalt see.
Please be seated. I'd like to call on our President Dennis Toshiro to introduce our Dharma speaker for today.
Good morning, everyone. Our guest speaker is Raymond Takiue, one of the leaders of Nishi Hongwanji. He was raised in Kona on the Big Island and attended Kona Hongwanji. He went to Dharma school and was a junior YBA member. He participated in the Young Buddhist International Cultural Student Exchange, otherwise known as YBIXI, in the program that was in 1989. Kind of shows his age. But he's still young. When his university studies brought him to the UH Manoa in Honolulu, he became a member of Nishi Hongwanji and the Buddhist Study Center Fellowship Club. Raymond graduated from UH Manoa with a BBA in marketing, Bachelor of Business Administration, I believe. Raymond has served as the president of the Alamona JCs. At Moilili, he founded the Bombu Club for young adults and is currently the temple's first vice president. He works full-time at the Oahu Mortuary as a funeral arranger, and he currently serves as a minister lay assistant with Tokudo at Nishi Hongwanji. I introduce Raymond.
Good morning. Good morning. I think I sent you old bio. I'm not the first vice president anymore. I just finished my term as a immediate past president, so I actually am a director now. Take some pressure off. Well, thank you to Dennis and the Windward Buddhist Temple for inviting me to speak this morning. Since Rod Moriyama, Dexter Moore, and myself had returned back from Japan after receiving Tokudo, this is actually the first temple outside of Mo'ili'ili that I've spoken at. So thank you for the invite. Upon my return back to Mo'ili'ili, I was presented with an updated status of certified minister's lay assistant with Tokudo. I moved from behind the AV board out to sitting up in the Naijing for our services. I'm called upon to conduct services when Reverend David has been on vacation or when he's at other temples, including right here at Windward Buddhist Temple. Actually, I've run a couple of services since then, but I haven't really spoken about Tokudo, about my Tokudo experience with my members yet, so this is my first time. The 11 days of Tokudo in Kyoto seems long, and yeah, it kind of was. 13 of us made up our overseas group, which was made up of 3 hang, or groups. The other 2 were comprised of aspirants from Japan. The overseas group consisted of 3 of us from Hawaii, 5 from BCA, or the mainland US, 1 from the Jodo Shinshu Buddhist temples of Canada, and 4 from Europe, including Spain, Germany, and Belgium. Most of the group had met at least once in the training sessions hosted by the Jodo Shinshu Buddhist temples at the Jodo Shinshu Center in Berkeley, California. From Hawaii, I think Dexter was the only one who went, although we were able to participate via Zoom and YouTube. We were asked to meet a few days before Tokudo in Kyoto, so we could meet each other and make sure that we had all the robes and books and everything else that were required. Once you go in, you can't come out. And also to get used to the time zone change. We quickly gelled as a group, trying to feel out our strengths and how well we were trained. One of the aspirants that I got to know was Dr. Aaron Prophet. He's an associate professor of Japanese Buddhism at the University of Albany in New York. And he was one of my roommates. I was staying with Dexter and this other, the Canadian aspirant, Kainen Ono. While Aaron was the only non-Asian in the room, I think he was born in Tennessee, I think he spoke the most Japanese, as he actually lived in Japan for a while as a college professor in Japan. While our Han was made up of overseas aspirants, we had reverends that served as translators. And the announcements that came over the PA system to all of us staying in the dormitory was in Japanese. So we looked to Aaron for the quick translation as to where we were supposed to go and what we were supposed to wear, what books we were supposed to bring, and everything else for that session. It was Japan, of course, and punctuality was very much emphasized. Aaron was also named as the head leader, or Hancho, as incidentally, if you ever heard the word, he's the head Hancho, that's where it comes from. So he was the Hancho for our group. He was the person helping to create the duty roster for our Han, assigning cleaning duties and tobong or service assignments, and reporting that our entire group was present whenever we had to meet. That's my plug for Aaron, because he's going to be our speaker at this year's summer session, so please sign up for that. That's my promotion for him, so very nice guy. For Tokudo, our dress code was 2 layers of white undergarments, so we actually wear an undershirt, a regular V-neck undershirt, and we have 2 layers of undergarments, white undergarments, and then white tabi. Over that, we have our black fuho, or everyday minister's robes, kind of what Bishop Umitani is wearing today. We also had a second set of robes called kukue, which was used for services. This is the one that it's a little bit more formal. Sleeves are really long, and the back is pleated towards the bottom. The material is heavier too, and this is also the one that we wear, the gojo gesa, which is that apron-looking, one that ministers wear for special services. It also comes with, on top of all of that, it comes with the little fan. And we also need to know how to be able to walk and wear that as well too. So we went in October, and it was kind of the transition from summer to fall. The temperature at the end of Tokudo was noticeably cooler than at the beginning. However, it was still, the days still were very hot and humid as we sweat through our training sessions in our different robes. We conducted 3 services a day, so there were a lot of clothing changes. Every time we had to fold the robes correctly to make sure that we all had all of the other elements of the robe in place, nothing twisted or anything like that as well. We were required to wear the fuho, again, what Reverend is wearing, at all times, except when we're conducting services or headed to the fudo or bath in the evenings. So you can imagine, even if we're just hanging out in the cafeteria, we had to wear fuho. The only time that we could dress down was when we actually go to bed. Photos and cameras and other smart devices were collected at the very beginning of Tokudo, so no photos were taken. But we did have a couple of photos taken at the end. So this was the 3 of us that went at the very end. You can see the layers of clothes and the things underneath with the white tabi. And then this next photo here was the group at the very end. We were allowed, the overseas group was actually allowed to take a group photo where we were smiling. Right right after the Tokudo ceremony, we come back and we take a big group photo with the Gomonchu, and they tell us, don't smile, it's a serious picture. So I have the official photo for that as well. So we're allowed to see there. So this is our group in the back, and then the ministers. We had Bishop Marvin Harada and Bishop Arai from Canada, and Reverend Bishop Umitani actually had come up earlier in the week, but this is at the very end, so we're all standing up in the back with our yellow Gojo Gesso. So let me ask, I guess you may be wondering why go to Tokudo? Well, I was looking at the list. Windward Buddhist Temple, I see, has 5 certified minister lay assistants and 2 lay assistants. So who's the certified minister lay assistants? Okay, 1, 2. Okay, and we have lay assistants too, right? Okay. So let me ask you guys, what made you decide to become a lay assistant? Dennis, what made you become a lay assistant?
Actually, I wasn't trying. I was just wanted to learn more things.
Okay.
Practicing Sutra.
Yeah.
Reverend Burke called me up along with Cynthia and others, and we were presented with that certificate. It's good to serve the temple.
It's good to serve the temple. Yes, it is. My journey to Tokudo was kind of a long route. If you've actually gotten a copy of this month's Kaleo Kahea, the state newsletter, it has some of my story as far as how I got here. For those of you who haven't read it yet, I'll briefly go over it for you. So I used to manage a Radio Shack store. You guys remember Radio Shack, right? All right. I used to manage Radio Shack. I was working there for about 10 years. And then, of course, they went bankrupt and closed down. I was at the King. I started off at Pearl Ridge, and I went to the King Street store. They went bankrupt in 2015. So I had to find a new job. I had applied for a job with the city as a police radio dispatcher, because we used to listen to the radios a lot, and of course, in Radio Shack. But the application process actually took a really long time, almost a year. And at the time, they were offering an overseas Tokudo program. So I began studying with aspirants like Kerry Kiyohara, Robert Brennan, and Charlene Kihara, and also the late Sherman Thompson. One of the biggest hurdles about Tokudo is the memorization of the Shoshin Nembutsu Ge. It's written by Shinran Shonin, who's the founder of the Hongwanji. You guys know how many lines Shoshin Ge has? 220 lines, okay. 220 lines in Japanese with varying melodies. And on top of that, there's actually 2 versions that we need to memorize as well. So back then, I began practicing on my own and listening to, they have a practice training CD, but I would attend the morning service at the Hawaii Betsuing at 8 o'clock in the morning. Again, I wasn't working, so I had some time. The Tokudo training CD that we had, I was listening to regularly in the car and became my new favorite radio station to listen to. After a while, I started to kind of get to be kind of an earwig. I would kind of go back and learn a few lines at a time until I actually realized that, oh my goodness, I got the whole thing. It took me almost a year to get it memorized. And at the same time, with the training program, we had trainings on the teachings about Shinran and the 7 masters from Reverend Muneto, who was the Ringbang at Betsung at the time, and Reverend Hasebe. I would also practice with Reverend Burke. So how many of you have chanted with Reverend Burke? Right, everybody chanted with Reverend Burke, right? Yeah. And he was actually one of the ones that was encouraging me to go through Tokudo as well, so I can blame him too, yeah, Dennis. Or thank him. In December of 2015, I got a call from HPD that where I'd applied, and they said, congratulations, we're going to, you're hired as a dispatcher. You report in January, and go ahead. So our starting class was about 10 dispatchers out of probably an application pool of about 600. And so, but they made it very clear that there was no vacation time. You're on probation the whole first year. And so I had to make the difficult choice of dropping out of the Tokudo program at that time. Working as a police radio dispatcher, if you know anybody that works for the police, is a 7-day a week, 24-hour day, year-round, no matter what, kind of a job. After 6 months, I decided that the scheduling and the stress of the job would make it very difficult to raise my 2 children, and it was even to the point where I was not even able to go to temple. So I went looking for a new job, and I found one as a funeral services director at Oahu Mortuary. As a funeral director, I would set up for funeral services, run the AV system, and sometimes have to MC. That kind of sounds familiar. I do this every Sunday for Moilili before. And now I get to get paid for it. All right. And sometimes when we're having a funeral service, I would serve as a clergy backup when they conduct services. And what I mean by that is, have you ever been to a funeral where the attendees or even the family may not really know what to say during the service? Well, I've never had really any formal training, but I observe, I take notes, and I try to see how I could assist. So I would join in the responsoral readings that Catholics do, reciting the Lord's Prayer, singing of Nembutsu, and participating in those types of ways. For some funeral services, the attendees are really religious. They know everything. As soon as they say something, they know how to respond and participate. For others, they're not quite so confident. So I tried to help the clergy and family encourage more participation. I actually emceed a Nishi Hongwanji service once, and their service is similar to ours. So after calling the names for the offering of incense, I sat down on the side, and I joined in finishing chanting the funeral Shoshinge with him. The minister was very surprised since I had done it from memory, and very appreciative as well. When we had our Sunday services, I also tried to be an example of not being afraid to chant and sing loud, and I'm glad to hear you guys chant loud and strong today. From my AV table at Moilili, I would chant and recite the readings loudly, hoping that people would join in as well. Being in the mortuary industry, I tell new employees that we need to be open-minded and observe how ceremonies are done. A part of our job is to guide bereaved families through services. And, like they say, sometimes people, as far as doing a funeral arrangement, sometimes they maybe do it twice, maybe one for each of your parents. So people are usually not quite that experienced in it. So our job is to help them, guide them along the way. Anyway, so getting, at the time that I had dropped from the program, and at the Tokudo program, there was no minister's lay assistant program at the time. It started a little bit after. But because of the training that I had for Tokudo so far, I was recommended for the program. When the certified minister's lay assistant program began a little bit later, I was also recommended. That's why I don't know what the qualifications are, because they were like, you're studying how to do this stuff. You're okay. I had wanted to try and do Tokudo again once my job situation stabilized, but then COVID hit. Everything shut down. When it started back up again, I missed the overseas Tokudo program that Linda Nagai went to. You guys know Linda? Yep. So Linda was, she's also from Kona, and when she was younger, I remember she was actually one of my Dharma school students. I was one of her Dharma school students. So you want to aid somebody? No, I'm not going to get into that. When the opportunity came around for the 2025 Tokudo, I jumped at it. I was fortunate enough to have 2 other candidates join me. We practiced and trained together. While I was the youngest, they deemed me senpai, or senior, since I had more years of training. We worked together, practicing, chanting, and everything else, and we made it through. So where did I develop this interest in Buddhism? As Dennis had read in my bio, in 1989, I had the opportunity to go to Japan with the Young Buddhist International Cultural Study Exchange, or UBIXI. I wanted actually to go the year earlier in 1988, but you needed to be an incoming freshman in high school, and I was a year too young. My father had volunteered to go, hoping that they would make an exception for me, but they declined. I think, so my dad actually went as a chaperone, and I think he went with Merle as well, too. So go date her. Nah. Besides visiting the historic sites for the Hongwanji and sightseeing, one of the programs that we had was some training in English from American-born ministers about the life of Shinran Shonin and his teachings. It was the first time that I had heard more detail on him besides the arts and crafts activities we did in Dharma school. The teachings began to make sense. I was 14 years old at the time. So that was the first time that I went to Japan. Tokudo was actually the second, so 36 years later. Before I left to go to Tokudo, the temple members and some of my friends got together to give me a send-off party. I spoke at that time that the feeling was very humbling. And in Buddhism, we say Namo Amida Butsu in gratitude. Gratitude recognizing not only those who have helped me in instruction, encouragement, from our friends and family and financial support, but also those innumerable causes and conditions that have led up to this. Thank you to our trainers, Reverend David Fujimoto, Reverend Hasebe, and Bishop Umitani. If it weren't for all of these things that I described, in addition to those things that I didn't, I would not be here today. And if it wasn't for Shinran, who clarified the teachings of Shakyamuni, who talked about Amida Buddha, there would be no Hongwanji for us here today. Remember that we're all interconnected and interdependent. All of these karmic conditions, both good and bad, coming together for us to be who we are right now, in this very moment today. It is all these things that we're indebted to and should be mindful of as we live our lives. Amida Buddha's infinite wisdom and compassion means that it extends infinitely in time and space. His vow to save all who place his trust in his vow is the reason why the Hongwanji exists today, why you and I are here in our temple, in this temple. And so please join me in placing your hands together and reciting Amida's name, Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu. Thank you.
Thank you, Raymond, for sharing with us your Tokudo journey. If you're able, please rise for the Gatha, Quest of Life, found on page 164 of the Praises of the Buddha book. Then please continue to stand for the Nembutsu, found on page 145 in the same book.
Namo
Thank you very much. Please be seated. Oh, sorry. Thank you. Now be seated. Thank you so much for attending today's service. And now we'll have announcements by Dennis Tashiro.
Good morning again. Yeah, thanks everybody for attending. Surprised it turned out to be a nice morning. Thank you, Raymond, for that message. There's a lot to go through when you go through Tokudo. Just to give clarification, Tokudo, and Bishop can correct me if I'm wrong, is basically the first stage of ministry. There's two levels, the Tokudo, and there's a second time he would go back and go through Kyoshi. That's his designation. And the Hawaii ministers are known as Kaikyoshi minister, which is foreign or outside of Japan. Okay. But again, thank you, Raymond. Thank you, Bishop Umitani, for being here to officiate the service. Thank you, Annette, for being the MC. Thank you, Merle, for being the greeter. And Prudence for ringing the Kansho. And Ryan, of course, is recording today's show, today's recording today's service. Sorry. We have a guest, Carrie. Please rise. Carrie's a friend of Raymond. Welcome. Okay, next Sunday will be our spring Ohigang, or spring equinox service. Reverend Kevin Kuniyuki will be returned, this time to officiate the service and to provide a Dharma message. And as I mentioned during last Sunday's service, Reverend Kevin will be leading an adult Dharma classes in April on the 11th and then on the 25th. Next Sunday when Reverend Kevin is here, he'll give us more information about the classes. If you are interested in attending the classes, I do have a sign-up sheet on the back table. Next Sunday we'll be starting our spring food drive to support the Hawaii Food Bank. We again ask for your generosity in providing non-perishable food for the needy. We'll have boxes to collect your donations. Then on March 22nd, we have the Hongwanji Bazaar, and Cynthia will give us more information. Where's Cynthia? Oh.
Good morning. So as you may know, the bazaar is to share joy and Nembutsu moments with you and the local community. As in the past, they will have a huge rummage sale along with foods, crafts, and other vendors. Your fundraising committee is participating at this bazaar and will be selling food items such as our famous takuan, bitter melon, and various manjus and snacks. So in addition to participating at this bazaar, we will not have our regular Sunday service that morning. That's on the 22nd. And do hope that you will support your fundraising committee and the other Hongwanji temples and vendors by dropping by at this Hongwanji event. I will provide you with more information next Sunday. Thank you. It's going to be at the Betsu in town on Pali Highway. Yeah? Thank you.
Yeah, the bazaar is such a wonderful event. Of course, we're there working the booth and selling items, but it's also, kind of camaraderie of talking to people in the other booths from Moilili, from Betsuing, but there's also like the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts and some other organizations. So it's a lot of fun. If you can make it, please join us there. And today being the second Sunday, of course, we're having bingo. So please stay for refreshments and bingo will follow right after that. Are there any other announcements? Joy? Oh, Bob.
Good morning. I have two announcements. One is Ryan bought Maui coffee from Maui, so you'll be tasting Maui coffee today. And the other announcement is about my library. From today, we will change a little bit. When you return, just return your book on the back seat, and I'll log you in and sign you out that you returned the book. And I'll put away the book, so don't worry. Okay? Thank you.
We're going to have another Gatha practice session next week. So next week after service. So please stay and we're going to sing the two that we had. We might add a third, but at least the same two. So please stay and join us for Gatha practice. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob and Joy. Okay, then it's time for refreshments. So please recite the words of thanksgiving. The words will be on the screen. We are truly grateful for this wonderful food, a gift of life. May we share its benefits with all beings. As we partake of this food, let us remember Amida Buddha's compassion, which surrounds all people and all forms of life. Namu Amidabusa. Itadakimasu. Thank you.